So I think I read that you've been is in real estate for maybe about 2.5 years now.
Yes, so I am currently working on wrapping up my third year. So I'm at about the 2.5 year mark. This is my first year full time, though. Yeah, as of May 11th.
Got it. And so how did it start for you? Like what brought you into real estate?
So, really, honestly, it's something that I've always wanted to do since I was younger. It's just at the time, I needed a job with a steady paycheck and benefits, right? So that kind of scared me away from getting into a commissions only type of deal. I spent time in the corporate environment working for a couple of companies you may have heard of. One of them is Charter Communications. The other one is Amazon. So after spending about 14 years in the operations side, working for both of those companies, during that time, I decided it was time to jump into the real estate game.
And so how's it going? Like how's it started with clients and like your first clients? How did that whole process start?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me personally, it seems like it's been slow to me. But really, in talking with my broker and gaining experience from what she's seen in the industry, it seems as though I'm off to a pretty good start. I mean, my first year in, really first year and a half, I had 12 transactions done. And really over this last year, having all those transactions kind of lined up and everything. I mean, she told me that honestly, I did more in the last year than some real estate agents do, from an experienced point of view. So it really kind of helped to build up my confidence and encourage me to take that leap,
That's great.
go full time.
Yeah, I think that's helpful because there's a lot of people that probably check out the podcast that are interested in, but it's a little daunting to get started. How do you, I guess, what does your business development process look like? How are you getting clients? Is it referrals or just when you're starting day one? What does that process look like?
Yeah, a couple of strategies there. I mean, certainly my broker is very supportive, so she started feeding me leads to start. Then I went out and also purchased a couple of zip codes on my own through Zillow. And really, what I'm gravitating towards now, and I would encourage anybody to do this, is I'm really working to build more of a referral based business. So a lot of networking, a lot of connecting with people I already know, and continuing to meet more and more people as well who may be great referral partners.
Okay. So generating leads, is that mostly coming from Zillow then?
So at the moment, yes. Any leads that I get are from Zillow. There are 3 zip codes that I currently do receive leads from. But I've had quite a bit of an experience with that.
Okay. Got it. Has that been, I mean, obviously you want to build up referral business, but as far as the Zillow leads go, has that been a good source for you? Is like how many leads you get per month and how many are you converting into clients?
Yeah. So it's really been a mix initially. I have gotten a few clients from Zillow, some of my first clients, but here lately, I'm not finding it to be a very good source of leads. I am getting leads per se, but I'm finding that more often than not, they are very much unqualified leads in terms of they have no experience buying a house, which is fine. I love working with first time home buyers and walking them through that process. But they haven't talked to any sort of lender. They're not pre-approved, or they once they do talk to a lender, they cannot get pre-approved. So really, the quality of leads has just been very low, I'd say.
Okay. All right. Is if there's a so let's say you contact someone, is there a process you have to follow them down the road, or you just realize they're unqualified and you move on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, whenever I talk to anybody, it's never a no. It's just maybe not yet. If you're not able to purchase a house right now, what are the things that you need to do to get yourself into that position? So I do like to continue working with people and staying in touch with them. And then when they are ready, at that point, yeah, we'll go ahead and start looking at houses and going down that path towards a purchase.
Great. Yeah, I think that's something that realtors have a challenge with is there's all these day-to-day activities and it's really hard to follow up with those people because it may be 6 months down the road or a year. Do you have a process in place to make sure that those potential clients don't fall off your list?
We do. So with our current CRM that we are using, we've been working to develop our marketing campaigns or drip campaigns. So I've put together several types of campaigns for buyer leads, seller leads. I've also created campaigns for our networking partners as well as our family friends, right? Family and friends. So essentially, when we do meet with somebody, we enroll them in one of these campaigns because they're generally speaking going to fall into one of those four categories.
Got it. And so is that email or do you do text or any other type of communication with them?
So we can design these marketing campaigns to be email only, or it can be text and email as well.
And how would you describe your market there? Because I think you guys are outside of St. Louis, right?
We are. So between my broker and I, my broker is physically based in Warren County. For myself, I'm in Lincoln County. But as any good real estate agent does, we'll travel virtually.
Okay. So what about as far as the marketing side of it is establishing yourself in the community? Do you have challenges like creating content or like what are you doing to kind of build your brand or maybe if there are any challenges with that?
So, in that regard, we're kind of tapping into our experience with leading a community engagement program for our church. That's initially how I got connected with my broker, was in developing and working that community engagement program. So, we're kind of tapping back into that and really just looking at the different events going on within the communities that we want to be in and just finding ways to be present and support.
Okay, got it. And so obviously that's a lot of probably face-to-face interaction. Have you guys talked about any other tools like video or social media or blogs or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in today's day and age, you have to incorporate technology in some form or fashion. And now, unfortunately for her and I, it's not our forte. We're not good at creating videos or doing social media, but we are continuing to learn and kind of establish that schedule with getting videos created and posting. But I believe we are going to be outsourcing for some help with that as well, just to help make it more consistent and improve the quality as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great idea because it seems like the realtors that have the continual client base have the systems in place for that because it's a lot of work. You just want to go out and sell, but just creating the content and doing those other little things can be distracting. And the other part of it is that you may not see the benefit right away. You start doing those, but it may not start to pay off for a few months. So it's just creating a system that works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you guys obviously you mentioned Zillow. Do you guys have success with any type of like ads, like doing Google or Meta or anything like that?
Minimal success in that regard. We've utilized Facebook ads a little bit here and there. So one of the things that I did was I put together a first-time homebuyer seminar and I advertised that event as well. And that did have some traction, did have a good reach. And we did have a fairly good turnout considering it was during the colder months of the year, and particularly a cold night that most people would not want to venture out on.
That's a good idea. Can you kind of maybe elaborate on that? What did that look like? You just presented to some people that were first-time home buyers to kind of walk them through the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did partner with one of the lenders that I'm in contact with, that is one of the partnering lenders. In between he and I, we put together a presentation just to kind of walk a first-time home buyer through the general process of what it's like to purchase a house. Our idea was to spread knowledge and awareness and just kind of give them a high overview of what to expect during the home buying process.
Okay. And so I assume you collect their information so you can follow up with them, or kind of what was your success with that?
Yeah, most definitely. So, of course, getting to know everybody was part of the point as well, collecting that contact information so we could stay in touch. The resulting part of that is I do have two attendees who are now clients who are looking to purchase, and I've got a third attendee who is continuing to seek information about real estate purchases in general. They have purchased before, but they still don't feel like they know a whole lot. So they're continuing to ask questions. They're actually looking to, at some point, become an investor to purchase another piece of property.
Do you have many investors in your community?
So at the moment, I do have a couple of investors that I keep in contact with. I'm actually working on a deal with two new investors as well.
That's great. Okay. All right. So, kind of talking about time management, because I know that's always a hot topic. Yeah, Are there tasks that maybe take up your time that don't generate revenue?
Certainly the social media aspect of it is one of those things that really takes up a ton of time. That you don't see the fruits of that labor right away, like you mentioned. That's where I think consistency is key.
Right.
Aside from that, of course, there's always the administrative aspect of it. So if I get to a point where I can delegate some of those things, having a transaction coordinator, for example, that would free me up to do more things, more face to face interaction, and continuing to talk with people to gain more clients.
Okay. Got it. So I'm assuming if there's one part of your business you would automate, that would probably be the social media aspect.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I understand. And just like creating videos that are captivating, because I feel like, there's so many industries that are kind of commodities. In real estate's like that too, in some regards, that you really have to do something that offer value that they're not going to get from somewhere else. Because there's just a lot of the same stuff is being shared out there. So when you can, like, user generated content or tours of homes or just kind of how you differentiate yourself, I think is what I've seen the top realtors really do a good job of. But it's not easy. You just got to put a system in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Do you guys use, one of the reasons we talk is we do a lot of AI with a lot of AI tools just because it's so prevalent now and just kind of reinventing so many industries. Have you guys ever used AI tools for follow up with leads or marketing?
But not in that regard. We've really kind of tapped the surface with AI, right? So we are using it to kind of help us better craft descriptions of a property. As we're putting a listing together, we do find it to be kind of a useful tool for brainstorming. So if we have an idea or something we want to explore, we kind of use that as a sounding board to kind of help us think through some of our thoughts and ideas.
Okay, got it. The other side of that is, some people are leery of it. Do you have any concerns about having AI in your business?
No concerns that I can think of. I mean, obviously, AI is a new tool, so to speak, that is still under development in a lot of ways. So, as great as it is in some aspects, I mean, it still has its failure points as well. Sometimes there is information that it produces that is not entirely accurate. So I encourage people, don't take what it gives you at face value, but really kind of read through it and make sure that it's accurate.
Right, right. You had mentioned your broker that you work with is obviously experienced.
Mhm.
Do they you talked about how you've learned from them. Are there systems that they've used that they found to be effective? Obviously, someone that is doing one transaction a month versus 5 or 6 is different. Are there tools that you've learned from them that you kind of want to incorporate in your business as it continues to grow?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with my broker, like you mentioned, she has several years of experience in the business, 14 years on the real estate side. And prior to that, she was on the lending side. Yeah. So definitely a lot of knowledge that I can tap into in that regard. She is very much a proponent of kind of those old school ways, those personal touches, keeping in touch with people with a phone call, in-person meeting, just building up those relationships. So those are really the things that I'm leaning into that she teaches me to help build my business. Now, on the flip side, from what I've seen, she relies on technology as a way to kind of maintain her database, right, and stay in touch with people through the drip campaigns. But as technology evolves, our industry evolves, uh, I think there are more things that we can tap into to help us further propel to being able to handle more transactions than we currently are as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that just because, I've spoken with realtors that have been in the industry for a long time and they very much like the face-to-face interactions and shaking hands. But there's also the side of it with maybe younger realtors that really embrace technology to just make themselves more efficient so they don't have to be in 3 places at the same time. Have you thought about how you would implement that? I know it's kind of a wide-ranging question, but not, like it just takes time to go to the church and do the presentations, but there's other ways to be present and offer value without actually physically being there. Have you thought about implementing that into your business?
Yeah, in some ways I have. And I think a lot of it plays into your client. If they are more of an older generation, they may prefer more of the old school methods. Meeting in person, talking face to face, having a phone call, which is great. You can utilize your time to spend with those clients, making sure that they're comfortable and confident in your services. On the flip side, we have younger generations that are now entering into the industry as first-time home buyers that we can work with. And a lot of them are a lot more comfortable with the technology we have nowadays. They are busy as well. So, a quick text or an email is more than enough to suffice what they need.
Right, right, absolutely.